It's time for the Hockey Writers Grindline, a weekly show covering everything Detroit Red Wings. Brought to you by our own iconic top line of Wings writers. Sit back and enjoy The Grind.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Grind Line here at the Hockey Writers. I am your host, Matthew Zator, and as always, I am joined in by my line mates, Devin Little and Evan Sabourin. Evan, how's it going? They were on a winning streak, the Red Wings, but we're recording right after a loss, and they didn't have a lot of shots on goal in that game. I'm sure we'll talk about that. How's it going?
Man, the roller coaster continues. We've been up on some highs this week, but came a little crashing down a little tonight. Honestly, with all that land they have around LCA, they should just build a roller coaster monument, just have that metaphorical symbol of what the Red Wings put their fans through these past couple seasons. But hey, still a good week when you come and tell me that we beat LA, Toronto, and Florida back to back to back. Then it was good. And as you can see, my anger level, my face isn't as red right now. Even though we only got 12 shots on goal tonight, which is pretty bad. So I'll take this run. It's been good.
Yeah, and Devin, how's it going?
It's been going pretty good. Like Evan said, it's hard to you almost feel selfish, or not selfish. You almost feel greedy, being upset after a game like this one because they have been doing really well just this entire month.
Yeah.
They're probably due for a dud. But still, to have it be the dud, to have the dud be the way that it was, like you said, a dozen shots, that's not good. But all in all, it's still been a fun month watching this hockey team.
Yeah, I mean, losses are always hard. It doesn't matter when it is, but it's particularly more difficult after a winning streak because you get so used to winning, and then all of a sudden you get a loss. You're like, what's happening? It's not supposed to happen. Yeah, but losses happen. Teams don't go 82-0. Even the best teams in the NHL never went that. So losses do happen. All right. Well, but before we get into our one good, one bad, got to remind everyone of the Substack that we hear of the Hockey Writers. Red Wings Substack. You can sign up for the newsletter and get the articles 3 times a week. You can also sign up for the premium tier as well. There's a bunch of stuff there: game day previews, special articles, prospect updates, all that fun stuff. So take a look at the link below, and you'll check that out. Okay, one good, one bad, and this past week was pretty good. I mean, like I said, that loss notwithstanding, but there's a lot of good. So I'll start with you, Devin. A good and a bad from this past week.
My one good is going to be Alex Lyon getting a win against his former team, the Florida Panthers, on Wednesday night, getting a nice overtime win. Obviously that's a big win, not just for Lyon, but also for the Red Wings as a whole. They kept their point streak going, and the Panthers are a divisional rival. So they gained some ground in the division and kept that point streak going until tonight's game, but we're not talking about tonight's game. My one bad, this is where I am going to talk about tonight's game, because it's really been the only source of bad, really. Knock on wood. Just not putting the puck on net. The Hurricanes have had shaky goaltending really all season. They've had moments of steadiness, but generally speaking, they've been kind of their defense has been bailing their goaltending out, and to not even hit 15 shots in against a team with that situation going on. That's not a good look. I don't know if it's just Carolina suffocated them. They did do a really good job. Or just like a lack of, they just didn't come to play. I can't think of how else to phrase it. Regardless of what the cause was, just for lack of better words, it was a boring game to watch, and that's not what you want to see, especially coming off of the streak that they've been on this month.
Yeah, it's not like it was a back-to-back game either. I mean, you can maybe have that excuse if that was, but it wasn't. So I mean, it's really hard to see. I mean, I always have how can you not get shots on goal? I don't get it. I don't understand. You can't get just a shot through and at least get 20 shots in a game, but apparently it's pretty hard.
I don't I don't care if it's low percentage. Just get it on net. You never know what happens, right?
Yeah, yeah. All right, Evan, over to you. A good and a bad from this past week.
Well, my good was obviously this winning streak's been very good for the team. I mean, they vaulted them right back up to the point where we were third in the Atlantic. But it's one thing I've really noticed this week that I liked in the wins is Rasmussen has really seemed to pick up his physical play, and I saw that again tonight. We're starting to see that Rasmussen that we saw last year that was ready to take the next step, and he's really using his body to shield the pucks and win puck battles down low. And I really like the play of the third line tonight with Costin and it was Costin, Rasmussen, and Fisher, I believe. Is that right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So that was that was my good for this week. My bad, I mean, obviously it's the shots. I mean, 12 shots, that's got to be a season low, I imagine, right? Carolina is one of the top defensive teams. Coming into the night, they gave up just under 25 shots a game, but I'm sure that dropped some percentage points after tonight. Anytime the Red Wings take less shots than I did on my 21st birthday, not going to be. It's not a good sign, and you're not going to win hockey games. Just you're not going to win them like that. So, my bad also continues with Alex DeBrincat. Now tonight that's 9 games without a goal, and you can really see, like when we have Patrick Kane on the ice, and he missed his 3rd game tonight. With Kane on the ice, you can tell that makes DeBrincat a much better player. DeBrincat's not the kind of guy that can create his own shot. He's a guy who's, he's a Patrick Laine type guy where they're just going to fire the puck and sorry, my daughter just walked in. Fire the puck and whatnot. So yeah, DeBrincat going 9 games, and then he had another big goal shot earlier this season. So I'd like to get him going, and God, let's get Patty Kane back because
Yeah.
we've been praying to the hip gods, unless you guys are shortchanging me and not telling me. And hopefully it wasn't the hip, like they're saying. You never know with lower body injuries and what the teams tell you these days. But ready for Patty Kane to come back, and looking forward to the Tampa game this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate he's injured, but we'll talk about that later in the show. That was gonna be my bad. You took my DeBrincat one. 9 games without a goal. Like he was so prolific with scoring at the beginning of the season, and he's kind of got on that a little bit before the new year, but he hasn't scored in 2024 yet. And his last goal came on December 29th, so against the Nashville Predators, but he had 3 points. He's also had not really many points in this. He's only had 2 points too. I mean, you'd say, oh, maybe he got some assists, helped that out, and even shots on goal. I'm looking at here. He's got not many. I mean, it's 3 is his highest total. He's been getting 1, 2, hasn't had a shot in the last. Yeah, he's got to shoot more. I mean, the whole team does, but he's got to shoot more because he's got such a great shot, and just get it on goal, and it'll probably go in. So, DeBrincat's been a little bit of a disappointment. I mean, but it's hard. It's easy to look that over when the team's winning, but then they lose the game and he's again doesn't get a goal. It's hard not to look at. So DeBrincat, if Kane comes back, maybe we'll boost him. But DeBrincat was scoring before Kane signed, so it's not like he was the reason why he was scoring goals. So hopefully we can get going. All right. My good is the winning streak that they had. Hopefully they get back on it, because before the loss here, they had won 6 of their last 7 games. So that's pretty good. And they boosted themselves back into the conversation, really in the conversation of the playoffs. They were tied with the Tampa Bay Lightning going into this game for the final wildcard spot. So they're right there. And that's great to see. So hopefully it'll just keep going. All right. Well, on that note, and I created that segue myself, Red Wings, I mean, we said continuing getting points in January. This one, they didn't get any points in, but before that, lots of wins, lots of points. Their poor December, maybe they've redeemed themselves. Devin, do you agree with that? Are they undoing that bad December that they had where we were complaining about their defense, their goaltending, which has turned around too? Have they redeemed themselves here?
putting this on the agenda might have gotten ahead of myself a little bit. Like you said, they didn't get a point out of tonight, and hopefully that's not a harbinger of what's about to come in the next week or so. But prior to tonight's game, I definitely would have said that yeah, it seems like December is getting further and further into the rearview mirror. We've talked about even before the season started that we kind of figured this team it's gonna go through its ups and downs. Not at the Boston Bruins caliber of last season where they won, 9 out of 10 games every single month. They're gonna go through their ups and downs, and that's what they've been doing. So it's good to see them, back on the upswing in this month. And like I said, it's making December easier to stomach because, as Evan pointed out, they even managed to get back into a divisional playoff spot, not just a wild card spot. They're firmly back into that conversation. I think obviously it's going to be important how they finish it. The first half was great. If the second half is going to look like the Carolina game, then no, we're going to be talking about all those points they missed out on in December again. So it's going to be about how they finish it. It's going to be about how they carry that momentum into February, of course. But we'll worry about February when it's February. But right now, even with the Carolina loss, they still have 15 out of 18 points. That's still really good. And that's put them in a position to where we can talk about, the postseason again. And it doesn't seem like a fat chance. It seems like they're kind of back into that conversation again, and deservedly so.
Yeah, I mean, they're now tied in they have the exact same record as the Tampa Bay Lightning now. For 23, 17, and 5. The exact one now with 51 points. And a point back of the Toronto Maple Leafs for third in the division. So yeah, they're right there. So they can't go into a losing streak. They got to keep winning. Yeah, they had their loss here, but they can get right back on track. They can get back into that divisional playoff spot rather than just the wild card. So yeah, that Tampa Bay game is going to be a pretty good one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right, Evan, what do you think? Are they undoing that poor December? Have they redeemed themselves with this January so far?
I get something. Hold on. That's me trying to get the crow out of my teeth from last week's episode. But just so you know, I get little facts and stats from the broadcasts of people, so I don't come up with these by myself. So I'm not that smart. But they said today for the game that the Red Wings are off to their best start in January since 2009, I believe. So that's, really my optimism is the same way as the season goes. It goes up, it goes down, obviously that's how it goes with the team. But yeah, I mean, if you've watched the last week of games, you're seeing not as many odd man rushes for the opposing teams, and I feel like defensively they're kind of might be onto something here for a little bit. Sherratt went down tonight too. I don't know. Couldn't see what happened to him. I don't think Mickey and or Murphy and Daniels knew what it was, but hopefully, he's been playing better of late too, and that's not a guy we want to, lose for any long-term minutes. Yeah, I mean, my optimism is back. If you had told me at the beginning of the year, yeah, we're in a playoff spot at this point, a wild card spot, yeah, I'd take it. We still got, just just a month maybe to trade deadline. What is it, March 8th, I believe?
Month and a half.
Yeah.
Do they make a trade? I want the Red Wings to be in contention when we get close there, so we can start looking at being buyers, because I think they're a couple of pieces away from being a solid wild card or the 3 seed in the Atlantic. So yeah, I'm feeling better about how the Wings are playing this.
Yeah, just got to get some more shots on goal.
Yeah,
for sure.
And against the Lightning, that's going to be a big thing because they've got snipers. They don't need many shots to get, especially Kucherov. Yeah, and it's interesting, the Red Wings being a point back of the Maple Leafs. I mean, that's what kind of really surprises me, because the Maple Leafs could end up being into a wild card spot and the Red Wings being ahead of them. Now, if anyone told me that at the beginning of the season, I would say that is wrong, because I didn't think the Maple Leafs would be where they are right now. So Yeah, I think the Red Wings they've really turned it around defensively, I think, in the last bunch of games, which, like I said, we've been complaining about it quite a bit. And the loss, they lost to the Edmonton Oilers, who are on a heater. They got, what, 12-game winning streak or something.
Yep.
And that was an overtime.
Crazy.
So, I mean, they played pretty well against a team that's hot, that has all their stars going. So it's a good sign, I think, for the last bunch of games. So hopefully they can turn it around, get a win, get back on a winning streak, and not let this snowball for a bit. So I think even though they didn't get a lot of shots on goal, in the shots they did get, from what I saw, they had some good chances. It's just they couldn't finish. I mean, they had a lot of chances. It just wasn't bouncing their way or something. But you've got to get more shots. You can get more of those too. So we'll see what happens against the Lightning. All right. Well, on that note, my off the rush question is this: against the Lightning. I'll start with you, Evan. What do they have to do against the Lightning to beat a team that's pretty much the same? Well, they are the exact same record. What do they have to do against the Lightning to come away with that?
Well, I think the first thing they got to do is
Get
shoot
more shots.
Yeah, hold on, I'll get my broken record up. No, I mean, yeah, I mean they've definitely got to force the play, dictate play. Tonight was just there wasn't any opportunities. It was just a boring game to watch. It was horrible. But yeah, I mean they really need to push play. I like the line combinations that they're using now, and I don't know what the story with Patrick Kane is. I don't think he's going to play this weekend. But no, they need to force play and they need to come out strong because these with a team like Tampa Bay, they're gonna they can score goals in bunches, and it could get ugly quick. So interested to see for that, but yeah, I don't know, man. I'm starting to feel we got to get going. But you know what? The other thing I want to say too is I think we need to start writing down the record the Red Wings have when we on the nights we record, because I always feel like we're always talking about a loss.
Do
we need to
we have an overtime win? One. There was an overtime win.
We had the one overtime
Raymond.
win. Is that one? Okay.
Lucas Raymond scored in overtime. There was one.
Yeah, there was that one. That snipe. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the crescent moon thing they have with the Lions. Like the Lions win their playoff games when there's a crescent moon out. So maybe if we don't record on the days of the games, they'll win. I don't know. We got to try something, guys.
What about you, Devin? What do they need to do? What's the key to the game for the Lightning against the Lightning?
They need to score more goals than the Lightning.
That's a good one.
No, I think that their games between the Red Wings and the Lightning tend to have some heightened emotions for one reason or another. So I think they need to, be mindful about how they use their physicality. They need to not get themselves into penalty trouble. Don't give a team like the Lightning openings to punish them, because they more than likely will. And they need to help out their goaltender. Obviously, we all know the key guys that Tampa Bay has that are, on the ice to score. They need to keep those guys in check. And we assume that, Alex Lyon will be in net. He's been good. He's been really solid, really steady. But you always got to help out your goaltender. Don't give up prime opportunities. Like I said, if you give the Lightning an opportunity to punish you, they usually do. So don't give them that opportunity.
Yeah, that's a big one, because the Lightning, even though they aren't their dominant selves, it seems, this season, they do have Nikita Kucherov, who's got quite a bit of points already this season.
Most Sider's going to be glued to him, man.
Oh yeah,
glued to him. Isn't it funny too? Did you guys notice tonight? Like when Costin's in the lineup, I feel like they're just a much more physical team. I mean, one player really can make a difference on that line. I mean, Fisher and Rasmussen and they were just throwing their bodies around tonight. I did like seeing that a little more. I'm hoping like Rasmussen's agent or someone took him aside and said, "Man, this big dude, start hitting people, man." Because he looks like a completely different player than from a couple just last month. So I like seeing that.
Yeah, his whole line has been really good lately, so that's good sign. All right, well, before we get to our second half of the show, got to pay the bills and talk about our Substack again here, and check that out. It's a the free version you got the Substack. You can sign up for that, get the best articles in your inbox 3 times a week. We also have the premium tier with the prospect reports, game day previews, a bunch of other fun stuff. You want to check that out, check the link below. All right, well, let's talk about that Patrick Kane injury. They say it's not the hip, like we said before, but Evan, are you nervous about this injury? I mean, you said like lower body can be anything, and the hip is in the lower body area. So,
Yeah, it's
are you
definitely
nervous about
connected
his
to.
injury?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely connected to some part of the lower body. So
Yeah.
I'm not nervous yet. I mean, no one's really said anything, and that's why you wonder with these injuries because, obviously you're not going to tell people where he's hurt because when he comes back, they're going to
Yeah.
go for that spot. So that's why the NHL is always so secretive about their injuries, and they always have been, and they always will be. But I'm not concerned yet. I do miss watching him flip saucer passes to DeBrincat for one-timers. I mean, it's only been 3 games, but I already miss him.
Yeah.
I'm like jonesing for him. I'm like that mean. But yeah, well, we have to wait and see this week because they just haven't told us much. But
Yeah.
also defensively, they've looked a little better these past couple games. So Patty's not coming back for his defense. He never was here for it. So I don't know. I'm not concerned yet.
Yeah. Well, it hasn't been really long term, so until it becomes that, that's when we worry. Devin, are you worried about the Kane injury right now?
I think the biggest point I can make on this is actually the point that Evan made towards the beginning of the show about DeBrincat and how much DeBrincat seems to be kind of just in the background now without Kane. As I think you said, Matt, he was scoring before Kane was here, so it's not that like his offense was exclusively connected to Patrick Kane, but it was just another level. You saw how they had the success they had with the Blackhawks when they were together here in Detroit. And it gives them that second line that you can count on to score a goal or at least create some pressure. You remove a player like Patrick Kane, somebody's up there compensating for him. And, regardless of the fact that Patrick Kane's not the same Patrick Kane he was 5 years ago, he's still very good, and he's been very good this season. And the player who is trying to fill that spot right now is not that good. For better or for worse, it is what it is. So just to kind of recomplete their lineup and give them that second scoring line and kind of reawaken DeBrincat and all the other the power play. He's been a big factor on that and holding the puck and creating possession and creating plays. They're definitely missing Kane. Like Evan said, I don't think that it's like Kane's gone and now the whole team's falling apart. That's clearly not the case.
Mm-hmm.
But you can tell there's a difference between this team with Kane on it and Kane without it. They're not as good at maintaining possession and creating these plays, but they're also apparently better at preventing goals. So I guess you take the wins where you get them on that one. But I'm with Evan. I'm not super concerned yet. Maybe give it another week. We'll see where this team's at. We'll see how long Kane's going to be out, and then we can kind of see if this is going to be an issue for this team moving forward. Because just to kind of reiterate, Kane's been really good for this team this season. As good, maybe if not better than we could have expected, considering what his situation was coming to Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
I would really like to see Larkin back with DeBrincat. I think Larkin's our best passer in my mind, and I think he had better chemistry with DeBrincat, and I really think they got to reunite them. I don't like DeBrincat on the second line. I don't. I think he needs to be with Larkin.
I would agree with that, actually, especially with Kane being out of the lineup. It just kind of makes sense to stick him back where he had success before Kane was with the team, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's like I said, Kane hasn't been here all season, but when the lines you add a talent like that to the lineup and then he's gone, it does make a difference, and it has. even though defensively they've looked better. I don't know if that's the reason. Maybe it's just a coincidence.
It's a funny coincidence. I'll say that much.
But I definitely want Kane back in the lineup. He makes the Red Wings better overall. Okay, well, let's move from the offense to the goaltending again. And this time we'll talk about it being good because Alex Lyon has been really good in the last bunch of games. He's won a bunch. He's allowed 3 goals a bunch of times, but his save percentages have been over 900 most of the time. So, I mean, that's maybe an indictment against the Red Wings defense allowing that many shots, but he's stopped most of them, which is a positive. So, but there is Ville Husso coming back. He's rejoined practice. Now they're back to their 3-headed monster. So I'll start with you, Evan. How do they handle this? Is it Alex Lyon's net? What do you do with the other 2 goaltenders now when Husso comes back?
Well, if they decide to keep 3 goaltenders like they did at the beginning of the season, I think that means, Reimer's not going to see the net anymore. Alex Lyon has clearly established himself as the top option, and I don't think there's a question anymore. I just wish they'd figured it out a little sooner by listening to our show. But no, Lyon stood on his head in that Edmonton game. He beat LA, didn't play against Toronto. Reimer actually got us a win. I was shocked. And he played well against Florida too. I can't see them going in any other direction. I don't think really there's much more proof he can give you that he can handle this role. So it'll be interesting to see with Husso coming back how he responds. He's been out for a while and wasn't playing that well before he went out. So it's going to be interesting to see how they rotate that. I mean, I think for me right now it's a 75-25% split between Lyon and Husso. That's what I would go. I mean, if you're a team fighting for a playoff spot like this, then we're getting in the second half of the season here, and I think that's the route you want to go because it takes some pressure and stress off of Husso. He's been under the gun since he's been here. The Red Wings goaltender is probably one of the most stressful jobs in Detroit. That and the Detroit Lions quarterback, who Jared Goff, by the way, is just crushing it. But I think Lyon has really elevated his game, and he's definitely our number 1 going forward, barring a trade.
Yeah, barring a trade. Yeah, for sure. Devin, what do you think about this 3-headed monster again? Is it Husso? Is it Lyon Husso? And Reimer's the 3rd string? What would you do with these 3?
Well, first and foremost, I just think it's so fitting that in the same year that Detroit's NFL team really kind of rises to prominence and wins their first playoff game in 30 years. A guy with the last name Lyon is like the top option in goal for the Red Wings.
I didn't even think of that. Amazing.
It is
a sign, man. I'm telling you.
It is the year of the Lion in Detroit, let me tell you. Yeah, no, I agree with pretty much everything Evan said there. Lyon's your guy. You risk overcomplicating and overthinking things, honestly, if you go start to mix in Husso and Reimer and you start to go back to that 3 rotation they were doing in the early part of the season. I think I said this last week. You start Lyon until you give him until he gives you a reason not to. Yeah. And that should be their approach, really, until he gives them a reason not to. I think that they definitely, once Husso's good to go, I think that they will give him the occasional game here and there. Because he's under contract for next season. They're paying him just under $5 million. They have a lot of reasons why they would want him to at least kind of get back up to speed, at least be a capable backup for Lyon. I just don't think it's logical to say start Lyon every single game. It's more in line with that 75-25 you're talking about, Evan. It's just going to be a matter of when Husso becomes available and what you do with Reimer at that point. Because do you keep him on? Do you still kind of waste a roster spot on a goalie you're not going to use? Or do you send him to Timbuktu? Do you trade him? What do you do with him? I don't know. That'll be probably a topic for our show a week or 2 from now. But that's then. This is now. I think right now, Lyon's your guy. Like I said, it's the year of the Lion. Don't mess that up. It makes me think, just kind of going back to my point about like overthinking and throwing in the other two when you don't need to. I want to say it was Vegas some years ago when they had Fleury and Leonard, and I don't remember which one it was, but one of them was like clearly like going really well, played well every single time they started, but they kind of stuck to their rotation and like it like screwed things up. And it's like you're overthinking it. Just go with your guy. He's playing well. If he plays bad, then you have your other guy you can trust too. Just don't you're overthinking it.
Yeah.
Don't be the Golden Knight. Just use your guy. Be thankful that you have a guy and let him be your guy.
Yeah. I'm glad I don't know if can't remember what I said about, I said Line was going to be the starter eventually. So I'm right.
Cheers.
I don't know if I said he was going to be the starter. I said he was going to be a more significant part of the team than everyone thought when he was signed. So he's been good. Like I say, he was the reason the Florida Panthers made the playoffs last season. Could he be the reason the Red Wings make the playoffs this season? It's looking that way, and it's looking that way right now.
I think at some point Yzerman's got to start thinking about maybe signing him for next year too, because right now he's dirt cheap, and you get him for another year. You know, he's proved if we do trade and get another number one goaltender that he can step in if something happens.
Yeah, he's got one more season at 900,000 too. So that's
Line still has one more year.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Signed a 2-year contract. So he's here for another year at 900,000. So that's good.
I thought he was on a 1 year for some reason, but you know.
Yeah, I had to double check. I thought it was a 1 year too, because I was going to ask about extending him, but yeah, he's got another year already.
That's good.
So he's here next season.
Very well might be the best value contract on the Red Wings book next season.
Yeah, 100%, especially if he's the starter, depending on what happens with Husso and Reimer. I know we'll have a huge discussion of this towards the deadline, but just off the top, Devin, do you think Husso could be on the trade block? Could he be traded? Because there are a lot of teams that are looking for goaltenders going into the playoffs. Would that be a possibility?
I am of the opinion that Husso probably has more value than Reimer for one reason or another. And so if you are going to trade one of the other two, Husso is probably the one who's going to get you something somewhat significant. I'm not going to say what it is because I'm not really sure at this point. But if Reimer gets you a sixth, I could see Husso getting you a fourth, right? Just that little bit better of an asset. I don't know that they do that. I think that they would rather give them. At this point, you're very much selling low on Husso. I think that they would want to give themselves the opportunity to at least rebuild his value. They still have him under contract for another year, so it's not like they like have to do this now or they're gonna like lose him to free agency. You have time, so why not use it? Not the same situation with Reimer. He's on the 1 year deal, so he might be on his way out. It's just a matter of what they could get for him and if there's even anybody interested in him.
Well, the thing is, there are more valuable goaltenders out there that teams are going to probably go for. I mean, Spencer Martin was claimed off waivers by the Carolina Hurricanes, and he's not that good of a goaltender. He's okay. We'll see what happens. Evan, what do you think quickly? Could Husso be on the move, or is it better that they just keep him for now?
I mean, he's going to be pretty hard to move, making 4.75 a year this year and next. I don't think he's done. I don't think he has a track record for a contender to want to go to him. And like you just said, Zator, there's a lot better options out there as far on the goaltender market. But yeah, I mean, it depends what you could get for him. But if this team's still competing, you can't go down the stretch with Alex Lyon and James Reimer.
Yeah.
So you just can't. So, but it'll be interesting. I mean, you never know, Stevie Y. He tends to surprise us at times with some of the moves, but I think he's here. I think he's going to be here this year.
Yeah. Like I said, we'll get a clearer picture closer to the deadline of what the Red Wings are going to do. We'll have probably a whole episode on that one. Because yeah, you never know. But right now, I mean, he'd probably be on the buy side, maybe. But depends on what the positioning is in the standings at that point. Because still quite a ways away, March 8th. So yeah, it is further. Last season it was March. Was it March or was it end of February? The trade deadline. I can't remember. I don't think it was that far into March. But
I don't
yeah,
think so either.
yeah. So we'll see. A lot can change in the next month and a half in the standings and whatever else. But yeah. All right. Well, there's another episode of the Grind Line. Thanks, Evan. Thanks, Devin, for joining another episode. Make sure checking out our Substack. Lots of great stuff over there. And checking out everything at thehockeyraiders.com. We got tons of articles coming out, prospect updates. I know, Devin, you're working on a mid-season prospect rankings, so we'll have an episode on that further in once you get that released. But lots of fun stuff over at the site, so check that out. Evan, you got one more?
I'd like to show you a picture of the crow that I ate. That's that's Henrik. I know it's named after a Red Wing, so it felt kind of creepy. But yeah, and also not just the hip gods now, guys. It's the leg gods. I'd get my legs up in there, but I'll tear something. So pray for Patrick Kane to come back this week, please.
Yeah.
Any kind of shape, form, formation, whatever.
Come back, Patrick Kane. All right. Well, yeah, make sure checking out everything, the site Substack. Check that all out. But we'll see you next time on another episode of The Grind Line.